Since you've expressed interest in Axonius before but haven't asked for a full-blown demo, we've created a demo before the demo, a 5-minute look at the problem we solve and how we do it. Hopefully this will help you to understand whether a product like Axonius could help you. We say that we're automating asset management for cybersecurity, but when it comes to the problem we solve, we think it can be summed up in just one tweet. The CISO asks, how many Windows hosts do we have? And depending on who they ask, they get a different number. But why? Why is asset management so difficult today? Well, if we look back, say 20 years, you had Windows machines on a network in a building, and they were part of AD. They probably had something pushing out updates and something as simple as an AV. Then everything changed. We moved into an environment that also had VMs, it had Macs and Linux, so we bought more stuff. We then moved into the mobile world, and we had another switch between iOS and Android, so we buy more stuff to manage those. Then the move to the cloud, and now the move to IoT means we have all of these solutions that know about assets. They all have a piece of the puzzle, but they don't talk to each other, and it makes it really difficult just to answer basic questions like, is my agent everywhere it should be? Well, I can't just go to the agent console and say, are you installed everywhere you should be? I have to look at multiple sources to get that answer. Are my cloud instances covered? Everyone's moving more and more to the cloud, but the solutions that we use to manage and secure on-premise devices don't necessarily translate to the cloud. Same problem. Where do you ask to get those answers? Which unmanaged devices are connected to privileged networks? Same problem. You have to go to multiple sources and correlate that information just to possibly answer that question. And it's hard. The way we see it, all other tools are collectors, and what's needed is an aggregator, something that can collect and correlate the information together to make sense of it and to take action. So this is our approach. By connecting to all of the different security and management solutions our customers have, we can do exactly 3 things. We can give them a credible, comprehensive asset inventory. We can then show them security solution coverage gaps, and then automatically validate and enforce policy. Our solution's a virtual appliance. It's agentless. We don't need an endpoint presence whatsoever. We just connect to the solutions you're already using what we call adapters, and we have over 140 of them, and we're adding more every 2 weeks. And deployment is in minutes, and I'll show you that in 1 second in the demo. This is the Axonius dashboard, and like we said in the slides, getting started is really, really simple. And here's how you do that. These are our adapters, and these are integrations with all of the different tools that know about assets. Everything from endpoint protection, networking gear, you name it. There's 140 or so of these, and we're adding more every 2 weeks. And to get an adapter configured, all you have to do is give it credentials. That's it. So you give credentials to all of the different tools you use, then the system immediately starts collecting information about assets. So I'll show just one asset really quickly. So here's one device, and we can see that it's a Windows 8 machine. It's also a VM. So we see what all of the different adapters know about it. It's got an ESET agent, CrowdStrike, it's on a Fortinet switch, it's a member of AD, it's being scanned by Rapid7. We also have all of the normalized and correlated information about that device. We can see things like interfaces, software, vulnerable software, installed patches, connected hardware, users. There's just a lot of information here about every asset. So that's the first part, is getting that full asset inventory. And the next thing we want to do is understand how every asset fits your security policy. To do that, we have a query wizard that's very, very easy. So let's look at one specific query here. In our policy, we said that every Windows device needs to be in AD and have CrowdStrike installed. So show me any device that is in Active Directory and doesn't have CrowdStrike. So that's the search that's built there. It's very, very simple. These are all of the devices that are out of your policy, and you can do that with anything. So here's an example of AWS instances not being scanned by a VA scanner. In this case, it's Tenable Nessus. So these are some very, very simple queries that you can build, and any query can be built out to any level of detail you want. Obviously, we'd go into much more detail on the query wizard, but in this case, I'm just going to show you the very, very high level. The first 2 things are solved. You've got your asset inventory, and you can also uncover security solution coverage gaps. Now what? The third part of what we do is we want to automatically take action based on what we find in a query. This is our enforcement center. The first thing we do is define the trigger. So the trigger is based on a query. So I'll say, based on what we just saw, Windows devices in AD missing CrowdStrike, well, what do we want to do? Maybe we want to try to deploy that agent. That makes sense. So we can deploy that agent. We can run a command. We can execute endpoint security agent actions like isolate or unisolate. We can add a device to a scan. So in that cloud example I gave before, if a cloud instance is not being scanned by a VA scanner, just add it to the next scheduled scan. We can enrich data. We can block at the firewall. We can create a CMDB entry, manage AD services, notify, create an incident in a ticketing system, or do things like tagging. So that is the fastest I could possibly go over this. And when we do a demo, we'll spend a lot of time on your questions and your specific needs and use cases. But this is the highest of levels to show what the platform can do, and hopefully it gives you the information you need to decide if a demo is right for you. Thanks.